So Anand, using Kivymd, we'll be creating a converter app. So we
Yes, sir.
first create a folder in which we'll be saving all our assets files and the code file. So here I'm creating a folder in this Python 38 folder, and it's with name converter mobile app. And inside it I'm saving this file with name converter. Okay, so let's start with importing all the libraries that we need for this mobile application. So the first one is MD screen. Okay, and we can get it easily from kivymd.uix.screen port MD screen. That's the first thing we require for this application. Then the next thing is app import. Sorry, everything is small from kivymd.app import md app. Then the third thing is the image. If you remember in one of the lectures, you asked me about how can we, import an image and we can use it on our mobile application. So
Yes,
in
sir.
library called Kiwi, we have something called image. We have a class called image in which we have a function in image we can use, getting the images on our mobile application screen. In kivymd.uix button for the buttons we will be putting on our mobile application. So we are going to use two types of buttons. The first one is MD fill round. Let's use the round flat icon button. Okay, so round flat icon button. This is the first we are going to use. And then there is something called MD fill flat round icon. MD fill, and then in play after fill we need to put flat. So MD fill, sorry, not flat, it is MD then fill then round. This is perfectly fine. I think we need not to put this round here. MD fill, as far as I remember, this flat icon we need to remove, and in place of it we need to put flat. Okay, in case it gives us error, I'll change the name of this. So MD fill round flat icon button and MD fill round flat button we will use. Then from kiwi.uix, there is .uix.text field. So this will help us in defining text fields on our mobile application. MD text field we can use. Okay, and after that from kiwi.uix.label we need to import MD label. And then from kiwi.uix.toolbar. So for defining the topmost bar, which is toolbar, we'll make use of MD toolbar. Okay, so I'm done with importing all the libraries that we require for this application. Let's now define a class with name. Let's use converter app for now. Okay, and we need to pass MD app to this class as a parameter. Then there is a function called build, as you know very well. So the interpreter will execute it automatically when it will see it on in the code. So now let's create an object for our MD screen. So this is how we can do it. MD screen, then these brackets will come. Now, I want to define a title. So we can make use of toolbar for that. Let's access the toolbar. So I'm using a variable called toolbar in which I'll be putting my toolbar. So MD toolbar. And then whatever you want to see as a title, you can put it using this title thing, binary to decimal. This is what I would like to see as a title getting reflected on the top of my mobile application. Now we need to position this toolbar. For that we can use of self.toolbar. Then there is something called pose hint, as you know very well. So to this we need to pass a value because I want to see it getting reflected right on the top. So I am passing this top and let's pass a value to it. So I'm passing 1, right? Then we need to add it to the widget. So screen dot add. Sorry, we need to add it to the screen. So for that we can use screen dot add widget, and then see if you will pass toolbar like this simply over here, it will throw an error, right? Because we are using self dot toolbar. We have used self dot toolbar. So we need to put self dot toolbar. Okay, and then we can just return the screen. I hope this much code is clear to you, dear.
Yes, sir.
Let me just share this code with you in the chat box of the meeting. Just paste it in your, Python file, and then we'll move to the next part. Done?
Yes, sir.
Now we have to run this application. So for that, we can define this code here. If name is equals to main, right? There is a function called main which runs in the background. So, it gets created automatically. You don't have to define it.
Yes, sir.
It gets created automatically. So that's the way you can just, get it, you can access it. And then because our main class's name is converter app, so we need to put it here. Then we can use this run command for running our application. Let us save it and run the app and see what is the output we will get.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so it is showing an error. Why? Because maybe because I should be in capital. Let's make it capital. Now let me run the app. Okay, it is showing an error again. What is the problem with this code? Kiwi.uix. Okay, it should be Kiwi. Yeah, that's the problem with this. UIX. Okay, it should be Kivymd. It should be Kivymd. Why I'm not able? Okay. So name converter. Okay, it should be converter app, not convert app. So this is what I'm getting, right? So right on the top, we have a toolbar.
Yes.
It says binary to decimal. Okay. Let me now close this application and share the code with you. Just run it on your device and see whether you're getting the same output which I just showed you or not.
Yes, sir. Then.
Anand, if you remember, in one of the previous lectures, I told you about right action items and left action items.
Yes, sir.
You have to add an icon or something like that on the right or left side. You can make use of right action. You can make use of action items. So let's use it here.
Yes, sir.
I want is see what I want is I want to see an action item on the right side. And if I click here on that action item, it should change from binary to decimal to binary. Means the text should change.
Yes, sir.
Are you getting my point? So how can we make it happen?
Yes, sir.
It out. So here we have defined the position, then we are adding the toolbar here. I think if we can, it is better if we add the code in between these two lines of code. So here we can tell our interpreter to add a right action item, okay, to this toolbar, and that's the way we can do it. Then we need to make use of these square brackets. Now we have an icon with name rotate 3D dash variant. I think the spelling is correct. Rotate dash 3D dash variant. Yeah, perfectly fine. And in order to make it work, we can link a function with it. And the best way to do it is using lambda function. So lambda x, and then we can say flip. Okay, we are going to define a flip, a function named flip, but not now, maybe afterwards. So here we can, using this code, we can make it work. And now we need to enclose this whole thing inside these two brackets again. Fine. So this is the way you can, add a action item to your toolbar. Now let's define a function. Let's define this function named flip we have used here. So how can we do that? We can come right on the top over here and we can say def flip, right? And it is again going to be a self function. So def flip self, and let's say that if I, click that icon, I would like to see my name getting reflected in the console panel. I just want to see whether I will be able to get the required output or not. So it's just for testing purpose. Are you able to see this small rectangular box over here?
Yes, sir.
If I just click here, see my name is getting printed in the control panel. But why that image is not coming? Maybe I am not using the correct word here. You can search for it online. If you want, I can do it for you. So here you can search for rotate 3D variant Kivymd. Maybe I haven't defined the spelling correctly. 3D. Okay, maybe it should be in small. That is the reason. Let me just check if I'll make it small, whether I'll be able to get that icon or not. Okay, now this icon is coming. So this is the icon which I was talking about. Fine. Now, if I'll just click this icon, see, I'm able to see my name getting reflected in the bottom in the console panel. Let me share the code with you again in the chat
Yes, sir.
so that you can also check it at your end. By the time you're checking the code, let me search.
Yes, sir.
Done. So it's working for you, right? So now let us search for an image that we can use as a background in our application. So converter app images. Okay, this is looking nice. Can we go with some other one? Chalo, let's go with this one. So we need to right click on this and we need to save it inside the same folder in which our code file is present. So it's
Yes,
this.
sir.
Let's make use of a shortcut method. So I'm copying it and I'm coming back on my Sublime text file, then open file. And here I can simply paste it like this. It's not working. I have to use this method only, I think. Let me copy the path from here, and if I just paste the path here, yes. So here I'm saving it a specific name. Let's make it logo. Okay, I'm saving it with this name logo. So its full name is logo.png because it's a PNG image. Fine.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay, and coming back to the Sublime Text platform. So now we have two files here inside this folder, convert mobile application. And now we have to use this image file on our mobile app. How we'll do it? You want me to share this image with you in the chat box? Let me do it quickly, no problem. Just going to- Okay, I have put the image in the chat box here. You can just download it from the chat box.
Yes, sir. Yes. Yes.
Just after the point where we have added the toolbar to our screen, let's add the image to our screen. So again, we will use screen.add widget, and then we will call our image class like this. Sorry. Here we need to put these brackets, and inside brackets, the first thing that we need to define is the source. So as a source, we need to mention the name of our image, so which is logo.png for both of us, and then a comma, and then the position hint will come. So I would like to see it getting reflected right in the center of our mobile application screen. So how to position it in that way? Not in the center, but somewhere in the middle. So I am passing, I think, center underscore X. This is the one that we use. Yeah, perfect. And here, let's make it 0.5. And for center underscore Y, let's use, because I want to see it getting reflected somewhere near to the toolbar. So I'm making it 0.8. Let's use 0.8. If any changes will be required, we'll do it afterwards. So let's see where we'll get to see the image. Okay, perfectly fine. So converter app, here it is getting reflected. If you want to bring it down, so you can just change it to 7. So that's the way you can add an image to your mobile application. Fine, let me just share this code with you in the chat box of the meeting so that you can also try it out at your end. And remember this thing, remember one thing, Anand, the code will not work if it will not be able to find that logo image in the folder. The code is not going to give you the desired output. So make sure that
Yes, sir.
I hope you know about it, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Just give it a try and let me know if it is working or not.
Yes, sir. Done.
It's working now? Sure. That's great. So now we have
Yes.
we have an image on our mobile application screen. It's time for us to define a text field, right? In which the user can input something. So self dot input, right? And this time we'll make use of MD text field, and inside it, let's put some. Sorry. We need to just execute the enter button. Text. I would like to see, initially it should be enter a binary. Oh, fine. This is what I would like to see getting reflected inside the text feed, text box as a placeholder value. Then I would like to just align it in the center. HALIGN it should be, no? Yeah. So I want to see it in the center. So center for this. And then let's define the, what else can we do? Okay, let's just initialize its, what we call it, hint, size hint. So I would like to see it as 0.8 and 1. right? So this is how you can define the size of your input box. Now, next thing that comes is the position, right? So for position, again, we'll use pose hint. So pose hint, and then uh, let me just copy the value from here because I don't want to type the same thing again and again. Fine. So I want to see it at this point along x-axis and along y-axis. Let's change it to point. What will look good? I think 0.45 or 5. Hello, let's try 4.5. And after that, if any changes are required, we'll do it afterwards. Then we can just define the font size also like this, right? Font size and then 22. Let's make it 22. Okay, perfectly fine. And now, this is the way we can define an input field. Now we have to add this input field to the widget. So it's again very simple. We can use this screen dot add widget option, and to this we can pass self dot input as parameter. Right, let us just save the changes. Okay, it's showing us an error. Why it is showing us an error? Is there anything I've missed? Why it is showing an error here? Center X, center Y, pointed one. This is perfectly fine. Why it is showing us an error? Just a second. I have to resume. So we were using round brackets, right? That's why it was showing us the error. Now I have changed it to curly brackets, and see, a nice input box is getting reflected on our own mobile application. Now if I will write here something, yeah, I'm able to write my name, and if I want to enter a number, I can do it very easily. I'm able to do it very easily. Let me share the code with you in the chat box so that you can also try it at your end. That this is the way we can, add a text field to our mobile application. Now, by the time you're trying the code, let me just define the code with which we can add a label to our mobile application. So I'm going to copy this whole thing because the code is almost the same. So that is the reason I'm doing it. And here I'm changing the, variable to label. And then for label, it will need to change it to MD label. Okay, and as a text, I would like to see in decimal. Okay, uh, this is fine. Then alignment should be a center. Position hint. Position hint. I think we can change it to 0.35 because I would like to see it getting reflected in the bottom somewhere. So change it to 0.35 from 0.5. Okay, and we do not require this size hint for labels, so I'm eliminating it. Okay, perfect. And then let us just get rid of this font size also. And in place of font size, let's use a theme color. So I would like to see my, text getting reflected in secondary color. So for that, we can use theme text color. I hope you remember this term. Secondary. Perfect. Okay, so we have successfully, added a label. We have successfully defined a label. Now we have to, add it to our widget, but we'll do it afterwards, not now. If I'll just give a run to my application, I'm getting an error. Why? Because here it should be self.label. So see, a label is getting reflected here, right? We have an input box also. So everything is working perfectly fine. Okay. And we do one thing. Let me just create another label for my mobile application. So for that, I need to copy this code and I have to paste it here. So the first thing that we'll do is we need to change the name of the variable. So this time it will be, let's make it self.converted. And you know, it is your call. If you want to suppose use some other name, you can use that too. It's not like the names I'm using, you have to use the same names. And here I'm changing it to, let's give a text to it as a value. And here, let me just change it to 0.3, and theme color should be, let's make it primary, because for this we have used secondary. So this one should be primary. Now I'm going to just check out the final appearance. So converted, I have to write here. Okay. So, you know, this app is going to look like this. The image is coming here. The binary number we will input here, and finally we'll get the output over here. I hope you have understood this much here.
Yes, sir.
Okay, let me just pass the whole code to you again in the chat box. I don't know whether I'll be able to do it or not. No, this time I'm not able to pass the entire code. So you already have the code till this point, na, Anand?
Yes, sir.
In case we have the code, right? So I'm passing you these lines of code to you. Till this point, I'm passing the code to you. So you have to paste it just after this screen.add widget self.input, right? And just before return screen. So in between these two lines of code, you have to paste the code I'm sending in the chat box to you. Just do it and tell me whether you're getting the same output which I showed you or not.
Yes, sir. I'm getting out.
Getting the output. That's great, dear. Thank you very much for confirming that. Let's now come down, and it's time for us to add a button to our mobile application screen. So for that, we'll write screen dot add widget, and here inside it we can put md fill. I need to use flat button. Colon will not come. Now MD flat button, this is fine. Here inside it, we need to put these brackets, and then inside the brackets, our code will come. So the text I want to see getting reflected on the top of my button is this: convert. Everything should be in capital. Convert. And then let's define the font size. Okay. So font size we can use for the font size, customizing the font size. Then let's define the position. So I'm copying the code from here. I can put it here like this. Okay, and it should be 0.5. And what can we define for the center Y? Let's make it 1.5 because I want to see it getting reflected below the second label. So that is the reason I've defined 0.15 as of now. And if so the button is clicked, I would like a function to get executed by the interpreter. For now, I am linking it to the flip function just for the testing purpose. Okay, self.flip, because we already have it right on the top, so that is the reason I'm doing it. But later on, I will be creating a separate function for this button so that we can get the required output. Why it is showing an error to us? Okay, these brackets will not come. Right now, I think we can simply run this on press. Why it's not taking this on press? Is there anything I am missing? Okay, I missed a separator here. That is the reason. Control S, Control V. Okay, so I'm getting a nice button here, right? So this is how this fill round flat button looks like. It's looking perfectly fine. Okay, so it's working perfectly fine. Let me just share this code with you. Now, we with this code, we are directly adding this round flat button to our widget. Okay, we need not to define a separate code for adding it to the widget. It's there in the chat box here. You can copy the code and just try it out on your device. Now, by the time you're
Yes, sir.
done, okay. So let's
Yes, sir.
now change the name of the function to convert. Okay, so this is a function that we will define for getting the output. So if the button will be pressed, the interpreter is going to call this function called convert. Now, because we do not have any function like this in Kivymd, we'll have to define a code for it. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to define the code right on the top over here, just below flip. So def, and then let's define the code for the function convert. And again, it is going to be a self function with some arguments in it. Okay, self and arguments. And here we can, first see whatever value the user will input in the text field, we need to first get it. How we will get it? So we need to define a variable in which we are going to store the value. And then whatever the user will write, it will definitely come in self dot input, right? Because this is the variable. Self dot input is a variable which holds the text field we have defined on the mobile application screen. Am I right, Anand? Are you getting my point here?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is a function in which our text field is present. So here, with this, we'll be able to get the input which the user will provide to us. Now, we need to convert it into decimal. Okay, so the formula for converting a number to decimal form is this. You just have to write 2, and what will happen? Sorry, here it should not be a separator. There should be a dot here. So, the interpreter will read it in the form of text, and that text will be converted into decimal form, and finally the value will be converted into the integer format. Okay, so this is how we can convert a number into decimal form. That this is a formula. Fine.
Yes, sir.
We have to uh, just a second. Here we need to just return something. So let's make it converted and then text, and finally, because we want to now show the result to the user. So which thing we will use for doing that? There is a label we have defined inside this self dot converted named variable. Okay, which is right at the bottom, just above the button. So initially it will initially user will see 888 getting reflected on the label box, but the moment he will enter the number and the moment he will click the button, the 888 thing will change into the result. Okay, and result is stored in this val named variable. So in this val named variable, the result which is stored, it is in the form of integer. Fine. Now we have to pass this integer value to our mobile application screen. So we cannot pass it in the form of integer. We'll have to convert it into a string format first. That is the reason I have used type conversion here, str, and we can then write val. So this str will convert the value from integer to string, and then it will put it inside this variable called self dot converted, and finally it will get reflected as a text on our mobile application screen. I hope this much is clear to you, dear.
Yes, sir.
Sure? Are you sure?
Yes, sir.
Let me just save the changes, and now I'm running the application just to see whether it is working fine or not. So I'm entering a number here. I'm using okay, let's make it 1001 convert. So see 49, I'm getting 49. Similarly, let's enter some other number because it is binary, right? I hope you know about binary, decimal, hexadecimal.
Yes, sir. Yes.
So
Yes,
we
sir.
have only zeros and ones. So see, I'm getting the correct output. I'm passing the code to you so that you can also try it out here. So you don't have this code now. So I'm passing this code first to you in the chat box. Okay, this is the button code. and then I am passing you, I'm sharing with you this convert functions code. I'm putting it in the chat box again. Just add it to your code and check whether you're getting the correct output or not.
Yes, sir. I'm getting that.
You're getting the output?
Yes, sir.
So let's come. Now what else can we do with this application? Okay, this is self.converted.text find. Now we have one more label and it is stored in, let me just check the name of that variable in which the, okay, it is self.label, right? So how can we use it self.label? We can, I think it's better if we'll put it here. So self.label.text and let me pass a text as a value to it. So I'm passing it in decimal this for now, and then a colon here. Okay, then we have this build. Okay, let's do one thing. Let's define a state in which we can store the state of our application. Okay, so for that we can use a self variable with name state, and let's initialize it with 0. Fine. And after this, I think, let me come down. This is fine. This is perfectly fine. Okay. Okay, let's come up over here and let's just customize this flip function. What I want is if I click the icon, the, that text which is getting reflected in the toolbar, it should change from binary to decimal to binary. Now, how I
Yes,
will
sir.
make it happen? So we can tell the interpreter that if suppose the state is equal to 0, okay, then what should happen? The moment the user clicks that button, the state should change to self.state should change to 1. Okay, and now if the state is 1, then the title in the toolbar should change from binary to decimal to binary. And how we'll make it happen? We can simply do it like this. Decimal